5 ways to effectively engage your teenager in the new age. 5 ways to effectively engage your teenager in the new age. Life has changed, and things will continue to change rapidly post-COVID. As a matter of fact, post-COVID is not in June, July, August. Post-COVID is now. We are already in that era. All right. So when we say post-COVID, know that we're already talking about now going forward. Okay. So having said that, I would like to share with you today 5 things you need to do, 5 keys to effectively engage a teenager in the new age. Now, I was at a forum some time ago. It was a father, parent, teachers kind of forum. And I remember a father came around and the father was sharing how he was excited about his daughter who came home for holiday. The daughter said she would like to go with the father to work. So the father was excited, like, oh my God, my daughter. So the first day, she was on 2 weeks holiday. The first day, second day, third day, the daughter went with the father. And the father was so proud of himself, like, oh my God, child. The child was 16 going on 17. So, and he was going over that with his friends, telling his friends how proud of a father he is, to have his child wanting to go with him to work. It was just so, it was an interesting experience for him. And then the 4th day, the girl went with him. By the 5th day, which was a Friday of the first week, the girl said she wasn't going with the father. On Monday, she went. Then on Tuesday, she didn't go. And then she told the father she wasn't going to go with the father to work anymore. And the father, at that point, got curious and asked the question, but why? Why don't you want to come with me to the office? And the girl said, the internet at your office is not working, is not as swift as it was all through last week or when I started to come. In fact, sometimes it even stops completely and I'm not going again. The father in a moment said he was taken aback. He felt disappointed and he felt, deflated at that point in time. Well, you may say, so what's the big deal in that? Well, I could connect with the father because it meant much to him. If it didn't mean so much to him, perhaps it wouldn't get to him. He wouldn't feel disappointed. But it got to him because he held it in high esteem. So I'm going to talk more on that as we move along. But just take that as a case study for this learning, for this experience together. Remember, we're talking about 5 keys to effectively work with your teenager in the 21st century. In case you're watching me for the first time or you're listening to me for the first time, let me introduce myself to you. My name is Tayo Owoshino, the Family Counselor. That's my Instagram handle, the Family Counselor, at the Family Counselor. And I'm a certified professional counselor. I specialize in transition management for adolescents and adults who desire change in their lives or going through significant change. I help them to walk through that phase. All right. I'm also an identity coach. I am a speaker and I am an author. So today I'll be talking on 5 ways to effectively engage your teenager in the new age. 5 ways to effectively engage your teenager in the new age. Now, for perspective's sake, there are 2 categories of people that work with teenagers. 1, we have the parent, and 2, we have the guide. The parent and the guide. Who is a parent? A parent is somebody that gave birth to or that raises a child, nurtures a child. That's who a parent is. Who is a guide? A guide is someone that has influence or that contributes to the raising of a child. All right. Now, under parents, we have different classifications of a parent. We have the biological parent. We have the adoptive parent. We have foster parent, grandparent, step parent, all categories of parent, ancestors, all of those fall under the category of parent. All right. And then the guide. Every other person that is not necessarily the biological parent or the biological individual that gave birth to that teenager is a guide. And under this, we have the teacher, the tutor, the counselor, the leader, all right, the mentors. They fall under this category of a guide. Now, a parent can be a guide, but not all guides are parents. I think the length of time of engagement also come to play here. Guides don't necessarily stay as long as parents, all right, in the life of a child. So you see that there are two divides, and I know that you listening to this today, you fall in either of these categories. Okay, you fall in either of these categories. So whichever one you fall under, either you're a parent or you're a guide, this is for you. In this new age, there are ways, there are postures. Every person working with a teenager or that has teenager in their care, their posture, there's a posture you need to take, there's an attitude you need to take, there's a position you need to take. And that's the conversation we're starting in this video. 5 ways to really engage your teen in the new age. Now, the first thing I'd like to talk about is energy. Energy is the driving force of your psychic, your emotional, and intellectual fields. And what this means is it controls your energy level is what controls your psychic, the combination of your psychic, your emotional, and your intellectual field of operation as a human being. So your energy is what drives it. Your energy drives your psychic, it drives your emotions, it drives your intellectual capacities in your field of operation. So every person that is working with a teenager needs a unique kind of energy. Now, in another parlance, you can call it spirit. That kind of energy, you can call it spirit. And that spirit brings insight. You see, so this is why this kind of energy is important in leading, guiding your teenager in the new age. Now, a lot of times we feel that I'm aware that we have a lot of knowledge all over the place today, that just sharing things and all of that, which is not bad, okay? But I'm saying that in addition to all of this knowledge we have, we need to come to that place of our own essence and uniqueness, engaging our teenagers from our own power, from a place of power. And that's the energy force we carry. To connect effectively with a teenager beyond the head knowledge you have. Okay, it is possible for you to have read, to engage them effectively, maybe in a field or even in the house. To engage them effectively, allow them to talk first. Okay, so we are supposed to allow them to talk first. Okay, so you just sit there and you're waiting for your child to talk because you've been asked to do that. All right? I'm not saying those knowledge are not good. They are. But in addition to the knowledge, you need to add your own essence. And that's where your energy field, your energy comes in. That's the spirit that carries what you do. That's the spirit that drives that energy, that knowledge you have. It drives your intellectual, your psychic, and your emotional field of operation. So you need that. Every child is a bunch of energy. As a matter of fact, as teenagers, they have higher level of energies, to a very large extent. They have sustained level of energy more than us. Because we, as adults, we rationalize, we reason things, all right? And all of those, our energy level fluctuates. We don't have it consistent all of the time. So sometimes you're high, sometimes you're low. For them, for the most part, especially as teenagers, their cognition is not fully developed yet. So they can't even reason out. So they have that energy consistently. If it's bad, it's bad. If it's good, it's good. But they have energy and they have a good bout of it. So for you to effectively work with them, you need to match up that energy. You need to match up that energy. So come into the room with energy. In the house, you need that space of energy. And how can you build your own energy? How can you have that constituency of energy that will serve you in engaging your teenager? Coming to that place of meditation. You can meditate, you can exercises can help you to build your energy level. You can you can do yoga, whatever it is that works for you. You need to constantly be in that place of energy power. You need to be, your energy needs to be powered at a very high level for you to effectively engage them. Even if you're not talking, not saying anything is not communicating. You're still communicating, but with your energy intact. Even when you're not saying anything, you're communicating and you're connecting. So if you're in this business of working with teenagers, it's a deliberate effort to build your energy so that you can work with them even more effectively. Now, the second thing I'd like to talk about is presence. Now, this is very key. In the story I shared earlier on, let me ask you, was the father present? Well, was the father available? Well, you may say yes, the father was available. But was he present? Not necessarily. Okay? So, there is a difference between being present and being available. There's a huge difference between being available and being present. Native wisdom says, be available. Once your father is, once you can see your father or your mother or, your adult, you can move ahead. You can chug along. Once the adult is present, or once you are present as an adult, then you're good. But the truth of the matter is, today's wisdom says be present. That presence is not availability. That presence is calling for attunement. Okay? So the future knowledge or the future wisdom is saying attune. So that presence is the kind that leads us to attunement. You need to attune. And how do you attune? It's being attentive to your child. You call a confederation of your spirit, soul, and body to be present when you want to engage effectively with your child. Now, being available has its own place, especially if you just want to register your availability and give a sense of security to your child. In some ways, that has its own place. But when it comes to engagement, when it comes to connection, then it needs to advance more than availability. Over availability, you will be present. So when you are there, no other thing matters. You are tuning to your child. You're listening to your child. You're observing your child. Okay, you're picking cues. When the opportunity opens, you're driving conversations. You're triggering. When you converse in that manner, you trigger thought for your child. And before you know it, your child will begin to let out to you, will open up to you. All right? You're going to connect with your child. So presence is a powerful key in engaging teenager in this new age. Things will move so rapidly. The child is thinking so rapidly. Parents are moving so rapidly because of work demands, life demands. Demands will increase on all fronts for parents, for kids. Now, how do we marry, or how do we come to a meeting point where we still connect? All right? And not do every other thing at the detriment of our connection with a teenager. That's where attunement comes in. That's where connection comes in. That's where, we need to be there for the child. We need to be there for our children by not just being available, but by being present. Okay. The next one says courage. Now, once you are available, courage is a third one. Once you are available and you are present, okay, presence will trigger things. Presence triggers thoughts. It fosters connection. And because of that, you need to build courage, because when you are present, you will hear things and you will see things. You will know things because your child will open up to you. Once you are present at that level, with your energy, you're on ground and you are tuning to your child, you will hear things. Whether you are a field person, remember if I say guide, If I use parent, I also mean guide. If I use guide, I mean parent. Okay? So whether you're in the field or you're in the house, at home with your kid, when you're present and you're tuning with to your child, you will hear things. Your child will talk to you without even any force or much force. Your child will talk to you. Your child will warm up to you. Your child will open up to you. Your child will trust you. All right, that rapport will just be up the roof. You will jack up your relationship with your child. And then when you begin to hear things, you need to build courage. There is how to engage at this level of connection with the child. In my book, Influencing Teenagers, my ebook, I have a list of seven ways to connect, or influence your teenagers, which expounded a little bit more on this. All right. Also, I'm still going to do a work that is going to really talk on this level of connection. The moment you have built this level of connection, to sustain that level of connection, you need courage, because you will hear things that ordinarily you may feel, what? Did that happen? But you don't want to be the one that judges. You don't want to be the parent that judges or the guy that judges. You don't want to be the guide that, shuts your child off. The moment your child talks to you in confidence, and then your response is, what? You mean that happened? Then there is a risk to lose that child, because there's every tendency the child shuts down. And once the child shuts down, it will be very hard to get the child to connect with that child again. You would have lost trust. So it's important that at that point where you're building, where presence has led you to that level of connection with your child, it's important to have courage. And courage is to say, okay, you're afraid or you're surprised at what your child is saying to you, but you're not showing it. Courageously, you're sitting in there, you're tuning, you're present with the child while the child is sharing, the experience with you. You're sitting there, you're listening out. And then when you finish listening, you probably want to find out from the child, okay, so what do you want now? Or how do you feel about talking about that? Then where there are places you need to pay attention to or ask questions, you probably, can still go back to ask questions and make your clarifications. But you need courage to do that. Your child just told you that someone raped her. How would you respond to it? Your 14-year-old told you someone raped her. And this is supposed to be in confidence, in hurt, in pain. And then the next thing is you burst. And perhaps in fear as well. Then you burst. Before you know it, you will lose that child. Next time, the child will not talk to you again. So, in this age and time, you need courage, because you will hear things, you will know things about your child. Now, the next one, the final part on the courage part, you cannot raise a wholesome child in fear. So you need courage to raise a child that is wholesome. That also brings a sense of security to the child. Now, the fourth one is congruence. This is like a course on its own, all right? But summarily, congruence just says that your cognition, what you're thinking, is the same thing as what you're feeling, and is the same thing as what you're doing, all right? So your cognition influences your emotions, and it influences your behavior. That's what congruence says. So it's saying that every parent needs to be in congruence. Every parent needs to be congruent. As a parent, you need to be congruent. You need to be one. You need to be all yourself. You need to be in oneness yourself to engage with your teenager. Now, you can live in the same house. You can have your own cares, your own burdens, your own need to heal, all right? That's okay, because we won't always be at that point where we feel good all of the time. That's okay, and that's understandable, and you don't need to beat yourself over it. But when those times come, yes, those were probably times to be that availability will just work. You are available, you are there, but you're not being present. But when you want to now get into connection with your child, maybe there's need to intervene in a particular issue, there's need to find out to clarify some things, or you just feel that there's need to connect with your child now, then you probably want to get help for what you're experiencing, so that you can connect with your child, because you can't bring that into that engagement relationship. You see, congruence, the kid can feel it, your child can feel it. A teenager can sense when chaos is coming. They may not be able to place it, they may not be able to put their hands on it, what is going on here or what the issue is. They may not be able to lay their hand on it, but then they know something is off, something is not jiving here. I'm not jiving, we're not connecting. And that's when you see them tune off. That's why a lot of times people will say, we are not even connecting, I don't understand those kids, they are just on their own, in their own world, I'm in my own world. I hear of a lot of mentors, a lot of team mentors, especially that do group mentoring, that go to schools to engage young people. And you hear them say, those guys are just unruly, those guys are in their world of their own, it was hard to connect with them and all of that. It's understandable. Sometimes our own incongruence can make us project incongruence to them. And once they perceive incongruence in us, they tune off easily. The moment we can give off congruence, we can come from oneness to them, it will speak to them and it will connect with them. So a connection key to young people, in this new age, is congruence. You need congruence. All right, you need to be in congruence. So simply, it is what you think informs what you feel, how you feel, all right, and how you behave. Your cognition informs your emotions, and of course that informs your behavior. Now, finally, one key you need to work with, there are a whole lot of them, but of course these 5 key ones is what this session is about. So the 5th one is saying, cry for help. Now, I can't say this enough. It takes a community to raise a child. That we know that is an old proverb, it's an African proverb, and it's adjudged to be an old proverb. But the truth of the matter is, it takes a community to raise a child. We need to bring that into this age, this new age. I raised a conversation on my wall, on my Facebook wall, Temitoyo Oshino, a while ago, I think about a week ago, thereabout. And I said, it takes a community to raise a child, and then people should comment. The comment there, got to me. And it made me realize that in this new age, we need to buckle up our efforts in engaging teenagers, young people. We need to buckle up our efforts. No child is designed to be raised by one person. As a matter of fact, no parent owns a child. The child is in your custody to raise, to bring up, according to a blueprint, according to a design. All right? It's a conversation for another symposium or another session. But what I'm saying is, it takes a community to raise a child. Your role in the life of a child in this new age needs to be established. Play your role and trust your child to live the life you have helped the child with. Trust the child to live out his life. Now, your work is done when you're not there and the child is living out, what you have taught the child. Your work is done when you're not, the child doesn't have to be reliant on you, especially when the teenager is moving to late adolescence, the 17, 18, 19. When you're not there and they're acting right, then your job is done. So, your role as a guide needs to be established. Once this is established, trust your child to act out and act right. Okay? Then relieve yourself of that stress of thinking. That's to you now, whether you're a parent of a teenager or you're a guide of a teenager, which I know that you fall in either of this category. Relieve yourself of the stress that you need to solve all the problem this child has. Your child is not broken. Don't fix your child. That's another symposium. So to say that, please, your child is a human being, a whole human being. And your role is defined in the life of the child. Play your beat, play your part. And when you're engaging with a child, come with your A game. Commit with yourself, which is why you need congruence. At the moment you're engaging with your child, give your again. Give your best at that point in time. Then cry for help. Now, do not hesitate. People often make that common mistake of thinking, oh, I have to be able to solve it. If I can't solve it, I need to think of how to just solve this problem. It's not bad to problem solve, all right? Think to problem solve. But when it is to the detriment of the child, time is involved, resources are involved, then why waste time? Engage other people. On this journey of raising teenagers in this new age, nobody can lone range. So don't lone range. Don't go alone. Have people in your circle around you that can come in for you, different professionals in different areas, all right, that can help you to help that child. Let your role be defined, all right, and begin to lead your child, according to the design of that child. So I hope you've been able to learn one or two things from this session. This has come to stay in the new age. It takes a community to raise a child, and a child is not designed to be raised by one person. Okay? That's on a final note. Contribute your quota and trust your child to advance developmentally. Okay? So finally, in conclusion, every child is unique. Every child is unique. And to that extent, no one size fits all. So all the knowledge we're acquiring from different places, when it comes to engaging the teenager in the new century, in the new age, all right, we need to come to that place where we distill the wisdom that is meant for a child, custom made for that child. You see, because all children are unique, are not the same. For a parent that has kids, you have teenagers, maybe one after the other. You have a 17-year-old, you have a 15-year-old, and perhaps you have a 21-year-old. They are not all the same. You can't use one size fits all to same approach. You can't use same approach to raise all of them. They're unique. Not two children are the same. In personality, in physiology, psychology, mentality, developmental stage. So you see, they are unique in their own makeup. So we need to respect this and begin to lead our children by the designs of their life. I hope you've been able to learn one or two things. Please, if you have any question, you can kindly just put in comment section. I'm going to come on the comment and respond to the questions. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time for listening to me. You want to join? We have a support group for parents and guides, especially. It's called Archer's Development Network. It's a Facebook group, and we look forward to seeing you inside. Thank you very much. See you. Bye-bye.